Well, we now move on to we just did a lot of talking about the playoffs in the NFL and all that. Well, let's talk about let's I like to call some of these teams down at the bottom of the standings what I call them the have-nots. And there may not be another NFL team that is a description of the have-nots than the Jacksonville Jaguars. So what you have here is we know the Jaguars have had just a tumultuous season. They had number one overall pick Urban Meyer. Neither thing has really panned out so far. Trevor Lawrence, he's had a lot of struggles, probably a lot of it out of his control. Urban Meyer has already been fired, in case you've been living under a rock lately. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, in owner Shad Khan's infinite wisdom, appears to be set on keeping their general manager Trent Baalke in place, and that has led to, it appears that like the fans, or a big contingent of fans, are going to show up in clown costumes. You've seen a huge social media thing with the Jags profile pictures. The fans have changed to a clown with a mustache because Shad Khan's got the mustache. Uh, we have we like to call him a Jacksonville correspondent, front and center today. So it seemed like a perfect opportunity to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And what do you make of all this?
Well, living through it personally really sucks because this has been a miserable stretch of football. So what he's talking about is the clown out. It was something that Jacksonville social media started on, but it really got started on Twitter. It's literally the clown emoji, and they put the little mustache on it. People started changing their profile pictures to it because they announced that they were going to retain Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke is the former GM of the 49ers the last couple of years. He was the guy that had Jim Tomsula and Chip Kelly, and he basically was like the GM right when they got really good, and then he was the GM through the entire downfall of that organization before John Lynch came in and had to fix it. They didn't have a job for a while. They brought him in with Dave Caldwell 2 years ago. He was Dave Caldwell's assistant GM in Jacksonville throughout last season. That draft consisted of a ninth overall pick that's already traded in C.J. Henderson, and a 20th overall pick in Caleb Chason, a defensive end with 2 sacks in 2 years. And then this past season, they draft Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne's hurt. But the moral of the story is Trent Baalke was promoted to GM in 2021, but he's been in the building for 2 years. In that stretch, the Jaguars are 3-30. I think Baalke is like something like 10-53 as a GM recently, and he's had 4 head coaches in 4 seasons. So the whole just debacle of Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence struggling and the whole mess the Jaguars winning 2 games came and went. The fans were so excited with Urban and Trevor. It was such a big, there was a light at the end of the tunnel after the 1-15 season, right? But then 2-14 comes along and you're going to be 2-15 again. You're going to get destroyed by the Colts on Sunday. And the fans have just had enough. They full on revolt. And they're changing their profile pictures to clowns. They're clowning the organization. They're trolling all the social media feeds. Like the team does a live show, like a weekday radio type show. It just gets clowned up. Like all the comments are just clowns. They've had to cut feeds. They've asked players and coaches about it. And they've state media controlled, memory hold the answers out of the broadcast. It's crazy. And apparently this has gotten to Shad Khan, and he is not really said much one way or the other, but the reports still are that they plan on keeping Trent Baalke, and the fans just want a fresh start. They are so sick of this leapfrog where over the last decade, again, the Jaguars were 41-119 under Shad Khan in the regular season. Other than the 2017 playoff run, they have won 25% of their games. That's only happened twice in NFL history with over a decade. The 01-10 Lions and the 83-92 Bucks. I mean, it is a historically bad stretch of NFL football, and it's only getting worse because again they were 1-15 last year. They're gonna be 2-15 this year. It's a mess. But I think it brings up a bigger point of, should fans be able to do this? Should they be able to rally in this sort of fashion? And because there is going to be, I'm gonna be there Sunday, I'll tell you what happens. There's going to be clowns are going to descend upon the stadium for that game. It's going to be on national TV. The main sponsor of the game has pulled their $600,000 sponsorship. They don't want it anymore. They're trying to sue to get out of it. It's a dumpster fire. And it's on one hand, should Shad Khan, or just insert any owner for this, because if any other team did the same thing, should they listen to the fans? Is it like a political person with their constituents, or is it, he's the owner, he does what he wants, he shouldn't listen to fans? I mean, I think it brings up a bigger point than just Jacksonville being dumpster juice. We know that, but I think there's a bigger point here of these fan-led revolts. They become more common, which, hey, they might in the era of social media. People can get together so fast. It's things can snowball out of control in a hurry. And I don't know if you were Shad Khan. I mean, there's no rational reason to keep Trent Baalke, sure, but would you do it because the fans like pressured you into it, or would you like stick your heels in the sand and just say, no, I'm not moving. You know, I'm not doing this. Saving
Yeah,
the crown.
yeah. I mean, to me, like, if I'm Shad Khan and I think the best decision for my football team is to let Trent Baalke run personnel and be the GM, then Shad Khan as an owner has to do that. Obviously, us looking, you would know better than I, but I would tend to agree with your analysis that I don't think that's the right thing to keep Trent Baalke. I mean, you laid it out, all the way back to, and I think the success he had in San Francisco can probably be more attributed to Jim Harbaugh. Because after Jim Harbaugh left, the thing, stuff got pretty ugly in a hurry.
There's reports that Jim Harbaugh left because of Trent Baalke. And it's to be noted, not one person in the NFL has come to this guy's defense yet. Not a single human being has said one nice thing about him through the whole debacle.
But I do have to say, like, and the point about the fans, and I said this earlier before we got on air, the fans got every right to, show up clown costumes, tear up the team's social media, voice their opinion. That every right to do. And if you look, there's precedent for this, like very recently, because look, when an institution is incompetent in what it's supposed to be doing, people feel some type of way and they show themselves. It wasn't anyway. By the way, did you say you're attending this game?
I am. The tickets were like $15. So
will you be in a clown costume?
Don't plan on it. No. Now, if I had a couple of beers and they're handing out wigs and noses, I might participate. I'm not saying I wouldn't do that, but did I already order a clown outfit from Amazon? No, I did not.
That leads me to the biggest of questions. Are you going to be participating in an insurrection? That is the question.
I don't think Shad's even here. I'm pretty sure he's on a boat. It's really hard to insurrect a boat. Like, you have to also have a boat, and his is way bigger than our boats we can have. So don't plan on it. But I might yell at him if he was around, but he ain't gonna be around.
But yeah. So the problem is with Jacksonville is that, and we've seen just, piecemeal changes here and there. You go back, Tom Coughlin, he's supposed to come in and fix everything. You get Tom Coughlin out there, but you kept Dave Caldwell. Dave Caldwell has been there since, Gus Bradley was hired back in 2013, and you just kicked him out the building last year. But yet Trent Baalke worked for him for one season, but you still kept him and he's still there. So the point is, you talk about a fresh start. When you are an organization as lousy and embarrassing as the Jacksonville Jaguars, at some point, every management piece that is available has to go away. You have to nuke everything and start over, reset that thing. And that's, to me, I don't know Shad Khan from a can of paint, but it would appear that he's just not cut out to be an NFL owner. And but what you have to do, if you want to get this thing, if you want to have any help of getting this thing turned around, you get everybody out of here and you hire someone from outside the organization who knows something about winning to come in and start building it up for you. That's what as an owner you have to do. And Shad Khan's not alone. There's other terrible owners in the NFL. You go right to the nation's capital, you can find one. What a joke. I mean, the stadium's like literally collapsing, so Jalen Hurts, has he heard back from the NFL? I'd like to know. But look, Shad Khan's not alone, but to me, this is a critical time for Jacksonville because, I mean, you tell me, but from what I've seen, I have no idea if Trevor Lawrence can play football in this league. But I will tell you this, all the hype that he got from, coming out of college and just, he's the best quarterback prospect since, Luck, Elway, and Peyton Manning combined and all the rest of it. The fanfare that this guy was getting. And me and Drink was like, we was like, ho, let's pump the brakes on this. Because what happens is when you get drafted that high, sometimes you go to a dysfunctional organization and that can ruin a guy. And so this first year has been a complete waste. And if the owner's paying attention to anything, what he should look at is his quarterback and say, if I don't get this thing fixed quickly, Trevor Lawrence could wind. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but he could wind up being one of the biggest busts in history.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've seen him play almost every snap this year. The reality is, there's nothing around him. I mean, Laquan Treadwell is their best wide receiver. They lost James Robinson weeks ago. The offense is a broken mess. The play calling is awful. I mean, I could sit here all day and talk about it. I think Trevor has some issues where you go, okay, I see that maybe the football Jesus comparisons might have been a bit of much. He's struggling with reading. If I'd say the two things he struggles with the most is reading the defenses, and the speed of the reads is not quite there because Clemson didn't ask him to make a lot of 2, 3, 4 deep reads. It was quick. It was a quick offense, and obviously it was a much better ran and coached offense, and better talent. But that and accuracy and touch, like he everything's a flamethrower. He's like that pitcher in the MLB that only throws 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. Like, I mean, he hits dudes so hard they fall over sometimes. They can't catch the balls, and it's like they should catch it. They're in the NFL, but there's times where he doesn't need to throw a flamethrower to somebody, like your backup, your third string running backs in the game, and you try to take his numbers off his jersey and he drops it and it's a pick. I mean, that kind of thing. He struggled with that, but he's going to be okay if you get some talent around him, I think. But yeah, I mean, the biggest problem with Shad Khan, man, he wants to win, I think. I don't think he just doesn't care at all, but he doesn't have anyone that's in his ear that's telling him good things. I think the only people he talks to are other owners, and they're never going to tell him what to do because they had to compete against him. His pocketbook has kept the Jaguars in town, and the fans appreciate that because otherwise they would have already left. But it's just not working, and fans are so frustrated with always keeping somebody. The only thing I can think is maybe that's just his policy. He's a multi-billionaire. He knows something we don't about making money. Maybe he thinks there should always be a guy that from the previous deal for continuity. But that's the only thing I can even imagine if I'm trying to rationalize it. But yeah, it's rough. And it doesn't appear it's going to get better anytime soon unless the reports aren't true. But we won't know until the end of the season because Shad Khan fired Urban and said, I am not talking to y'all until after the season because I can do what I want and my boat has a boat inside of it. So deal with it.